Toss a coin to your witcher, O Valley of Plenty, O Valley of Plenty, oh. Toss a coin to your witcher, O Valley of Plenty. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Glad you could be here. Today is my review that I've been promising for a while for The Witcher TV series on Netflix. Now, if you have not seen my review of the first book in the Witcher series called The Last Wish, which this TV show is largely based on, then I'll leave the link at the end of the videos and in the description below. But this is The Last Wish. Make sure you pick up a copy and read it because it is really good. But watch my review because I do go into a few details about things I liked in it. This TV series is enjoyable on its own, but it's much better if you have read the first book in the series, I think. Because the TV show is largely based, as I said, on the first book and also parts of the second book, from my understanding, which I have not read. And so I was kind of spoiled on a few things. But be that as it may, it was helpful for watching the show because I had gone ahead and read the first book. So, yep, pick it up, read it, and let's get right into the review. So The Witcher follows Geralt of Rivia, who is the Witcher, a monster killer for hire, who enhances his abilities through the ingestion of different potions and concoctions that heighten his senses so he's able to be more adept at killing the monsters. The TV series, while it does focus quite a bit on Geralt, it also focuses very heavily, in fact, I think more so, on some of the other characters in his story, such as the sorceress Yennefer and the princess Cirilla and the queen Calanthe and a few other characters such as Dandelion the Bard, who follows Geralt around and makes up songs about him and about his travels with Geralt. So it's really a fun, very character-driven TV series. It's only 8 episodes, so it's really quick to binge through if you want to. And the way I would describe it, and I want you to pay attention to this because it is a little bit jarring at how much the story jumps around. But the way I look at it is, if you think of the letter Y, and on the 2 branches of the Y at the top, you've got Geralt and you've got Yennefer. And it's, as it bounces between the 2 of those characters, you see a lot of the history of Geralt as he's progressing in time, and you see Yennefer's history and backstory as well as she's progressing through time. And then at some point in the storyline, their points converge. And, you know, they form the crux of the Y. Now, on the end of the Y, you have other scenes that are being set up in the city of Cintra with the Queen Calanthe and her granddaughter, Princess Cirilla. And you'll find out more about Calanthe's daughter in one of the other episodes of the series. But essentially, they're on the other end of the Y, and their stories are more told in the present day. And that's why I say it gets kind of jarring, because you're kind of having to figure out how this is all connecting. So essentially, Geralt's and Yennefer's stories eventually meet and they intersect, and then they go along a more linear path together, meeting up again every now and again. and then, Calanthe and Cirilla's stories are kind of coming up the tail of the Y to eventually converge at the center point with Geralt and Yennefer. It's a very interesting way to tell the story, and if you watch my review of the first book, it's also told in a very unusual, kind of jarring format at times. So they kind of stuck with that in the TV series, but they followed their own jarring format. So be aware that you may get a little frustrated by the formatting, but please stick through to the end because it does come full circle. It was very, very well done. Now, let's get to performances. Henry Cavill is a fantastic Geralt. As I was watching him on screen, I was recollecting all the things that I read in the book and just amazed at how well he pulled off the character. Keep in mind what I said before about the series largely being based on The Last Wish, because it is the first 5 episodes of the Witcher series are directly taken from the book, with minor changes and alterations to make the story flow a little better for what they needed on the television screen. But if you've read The Last Wish, you're going to watch the Witcher series and you're going to be like, oh yeah, pretty much beat for beat, the first 5 episodes are taken directly from the book. The last 3 episodes, from my understanding, are taken from The Sword of Destiny, which is the second book of short stories, and maybe a little bit from Blood of Elves, which is the first actual novel in the series. So keep that in mind when you're watching this. But I thought Henry's performance as Geralt was just breathtaking. He solidly carried the show, with some great performances by the other actors as well. The actor who played Cirilla was magnificent. She really played her part well for what little stories she got in the middle of the series. And of course, she's not in The Last Wish, so I was kind of watching her fresh for the first time on the TV show. But she really gave a stellar performance for what time she got. The Queen Calanthe was embodied very well as well by the actress that portrayed her. And I thought they really captured the grit and the no-nonsense demeanor of Queen Calanthe, and her devious nature, her cunning nature was just fantastic. And Dandelion was if I'm being honest, I did not really care for the actor who portrayed Dandelion. I didn't so much care for the way he was portrayed either, but I thought they did a pretty good job of capturing his personality and his flair from the book. But I don't know, I just didn't really buy the guy who played him. So, but that's not a huge turnoff for me. I thought he did a pretty good job despite his flaws, and I thought he fit very well into the storyline that they were trying to portray in the show. The same with Yennefer. While I thought she gave a really outstanding performance, especially in her backstory, because as you come to learn in the show, she used to be a humpback, and throughout the course of her training in the ways of sorcery and a surgery performed by another sorcerer, she was able to become a normal looking human, and that is portrayed quite well. The struggles she went through in her former appearance to accept herself and come to love herself, and eventually to do what she did to become more who she wanted to be. That was really, really strongly performed. I was in tears at a couple of moments especially, and while I didn't think she totally fit with the Yennefer of the books and other pictures I've seen of her from the video games, I thought it was a really, really good performance, and she embodied the character well, and I'm not disappointed that they chose that particular actor at all to portray Yennefer. So if you go into The Witcher looking for some solid character performances, oh man, this show is full of them. There's another character named Mousesack who is somewhat central to the storyline as well. He really, really pulled off the character quite well. I was impressed with that. And you're in for some really solid performances. If there are any downsides to the TV series, they would be, number one, the jarring of the storyline. You really have to get used to it, folks. It's hard to follow at times. You're trying to figure out, okay, what's going on? Is this in the past? Is this in the present day? We don't really know sometimes what's going on, and they don't really give very good indicators of when they are jumping back and forth on the timeline. So you need to pay attention. If you're feeling tired one night, don't watch it. Wait until you've had some good sleep. Watch more episodes in the morning. There's nothing wrong with that. You can take a break because you want to be on your toes for this one. I think the biggest thing for me was some difficulty with the CGI and cinematography elements. There were times that the CGI was really good. I mean, some of the monsters in the show are extremely well done, but at other times it was just really bad. There are some dragons in the show that just did not look good at all. Number one, they weren't very big, as you would expect dragons to be, but they were just poorly colored and had a very weak appearance. I don't know, it just frustrated me. And there were other occurrences of that in the show too. And so I think they kind of rushed to put it together. I know they were trying to get it out and get it finished, and so that they could get it out before the end of 2019 and, capitalize on some merchandising for the show. I'm sure there was a lot of that going into it with the holiday season. So I thought they pulled off the CGI and cinematography pretty good throughout most of the show, but there were just parts that looked like a bad 80s fantasy show. I'm just being honest. It did. And that may be just my opinion. When you watch the show, look out for that, because I think you will notice it at points. The fight scenes, oh my goodness, especially in the first major fight scene of the show, I was glued to my seat. It was just pulled off so well. I loved the fight choreography and the way it just came together seamless. And other fight scenes in the show have been heavily criticized. I thought overall they were really, really well done. Not nearly as good as the first one, granted, but they were all pretty well done. but I can understand the point of view of the critics. The magic was really well portrayed on the screen. The magic of The Witcher is pretty subtle, whereas the magic used by other characters is much more pronounced, much more graphic in nature, and much more powerful in nature. So I thought they struck a very good balance in how they portrayed the magic of the other characters versus the magic of The Witcher. While he is a sorcerer of sorts, it's much more diminished than other characters, and I think they pulled that off quite well. You know, he's a monster killer. He uses his magic just enough to get the job done and to confront other people who get in his way as well. And I thought they did a magnificent job of pulling off the magic in the show. So overall, I'm going to give the series a 7 out of 10. Could it have been better? Oh man, yeah, it could have been. And I think they probably will work to make it better in future seasons. I have really high hopes. But overall, it was fantastically done. I think it is easily going to be a strong win for Netflix, especially as they're coming off the hype of Stranger Things here pretty soon. That series will be ending, and now that Game of Thrones is over, this is a strong contender for the attention of Game of Thrones fans. Is it as strong as Game of Thrones was in its height? No, not yet anyway. But it has really, really strong potential, and I couldn't recommend it enough. I will say, this movie, this isn't a movie. What am I talking about? Well, it's kind of like a movie. It's a movie in episodes. This TV show is not for kids. I'm just letting you know. It is for adults. There's lots of sex. There's lots of nudity. There's lots of graphic violence. So if you don't like that in a show, it may not be for you. If that doesn't bother you, great. You're going to love the show. And just be aware that it is an adult show. You don't want to be watching it with younger kids around, or, you know, depending on your preferences. So keep that in mind when you're watching the show. There are a lot of colorful words in the show as well. Geralt is a fan of the F word. And he pulled it off quite humorously a few times. There have been whole videos devoted to his F-bombs, so it's quite entertaining. But enjoy the show. I think it is a solid win for Netflix, and I am really, really looking forward to future seasons of The Witcher. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. Have you seen The Witcher yet? What were your thoughts on it? What did you like? What didn't you like? What could have been done better? What really, really wowed you? Let me know in the comments. And if you haven't seen it yet, are you now interested? Is this a show that you want to see? Or have I deterred you more from watching it? Let me know in the comments. I love a good discussion, especially about a really popular TV show. So make sure you share this video with your friends so that they can see my videos. Do not hesitate to click a like on the video if you enjoyed it. And make sure you subscribe to my channel for future videos. And set up yourself for notifications. Man, that was really bad English. Set up yourself. Anyway, yeah. Sign up for notifications so you get my future videos. And I know today was a TV show review. But as always, I want to make sure that you are reading more books. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.